Good morning and welcome back. Today is actually going to be a little bit of a mixture because this weekend, well, namely yesterday, I did quite a bit of work on the doors for the greenhouse because they blew off. We're supposed to get some pretty severe storms later this week, and I had to get something done quickly, and it was a lot of trial and error, so I didn't get a chance to really film that because I was in very much of a rush. But I do want to kind of recap what all I was able to do and actually show you, the next steps of what I'm doing. Maybe talk about some of the areas that I should have done a little different the first time around. And yeah, I'm not done with them. So I got them to a spot where they were stable, but they're not done. So I'm still gotta kind of figure a few things out, and we're gonna try and get that done today because I'd like to be done with the doors. I have 1 week until we start planting, and I need to make sure that the doors aren't gonna blow off, because they did the other day, despite me having them clamped shut, and it tore a hole in the silage tarp on the garden, and also knocked a hole in the wall of one of the other panels. Short version is I built a frame around the original opening. I had to do some reinforcement on the inside, and then I just built wooden doors and hung them from the frame. And then I took the existing panels, I cut them shorter and just screwed them to the face. Now I originally had planned on insetting those panels kind of into the door frame. And the reason I didn't was because I ran out of daylight and it was a little windy last night. So I screwed them to the face of it and wedged the door shut for the evening because, well, I had to do something. But I think I'm actually gonna kind of leave them attached to the outside like this, and I'm going to put in some bracing on the inside where the panels meet, and then, yeah, I mean, I feel like I should be pretty good to go after that. And when all else fails at night, I just clamp the doors shut. Always keep a pair of clamps around. You never know when you might need them. Kind of to start with, one of the things to note is that aluminum track, I had to cut it in order to frame out this door. And so you can see, I had to cut it flush there. That was so that the panels, that aluminum panel track wouldn't interfere with the framework I was building. Kind of to start with, here's what we got going on. I was struggling to figure out how to brace this bottom. And so, because there's little gaps, there's not perfectly square because it's metal and it flexes. I realized that the C-channel, that steel C-channel that's painted gray, let's see, this part down here, it had flexed and rolled in this doorway because there's no reinforcement. And so what we did, and I'll see if we can see this, actually put in some treated 2x4s to reinforce that channel so it can't roll anymore. And then I pocket holed these on both sides to these corner posts, and then I added a corner brace just for a little extra. Of course, you can see that on that end too. And there are several of those braces running across here, and you might be able to see the screws in the face of that board there to show wear. All right, and then I went and added this bottom plate here to the door frame. Screwed that into the bottom. It's good and sturdy. And then I just put my uprights in a top plate. And then one thing, well, I also added this stop here so the doors can't swing in. And then I also had to add that plate up there. So it just took a little bit of trial and error to build that out. I'm no professional when it comes to framing or trimming or any kind of construction, really. But that's what we come up with. and I'd say it's pretty solid. It's way more strength than just that aluminum frame. The other thing I did is on the outside of these aluminum pieces, I ran screws in to this upright. Any gaps, just filled those with clear silicone caulk, and that was about it. And then of course, as you can see, I of course built doors to fit it. I put 1/4 inch gap all the way around. That way if it expands a little bit, it's not too much of a deal. Plus these doors are kind of, you know, they're thick because I've got the 2x4s laid on their side, and so the door's kind of deep, and with that, as they're meeting, you gotta make sure they can swing freely. So I actually probably have about a 1/2 inch gap between the two sides in the middle, which has been good enough to make the door swing without hitting. And then the last thing on the doors, I added bracing in the corners, those little L brackets. And then I added a cross brace. Actually just had a brain fart when I was doing the cross brace, which is why it doesn't go all the way top to bottom. It only goes about halfway down. And the reason for that is because I wasn't thinking about the fact that it's a rectangle and not a square. And when I cut the boards to length, let's see the top this way. I cut the top angle at a 45, thinking like, oh, you know, it's a square. Well, it's not, and so that's too steep of an angle, and the reason that it only comes to here. Uh-oh. I still got to put latches on there. And so that's why it only comes down to about here, because I didn't want to waste any more boards recutting it, because I won't have enough to finish my reinforcement if I don't. So those could get changed later, but I feel pretty confident that no heavier than these doors are, that'll be plenty of cross bracing. And then I'm going to put bracing laterally across here to reinforce the panels there, and then that'll also of course reinforce the door itself. So I'm not too worried about them sagging, and if they do, it's a couple 2x4s and a couple of 1x. It's not really that bad to rebuild if I had to. All right, I cut several 1x in order to brace this door. I'm just going to pocket hole them in. I don't think I'll need anything more than that. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm going to get at least one door kind of set up and done, make sure that that is going to work for what I need, and then we'll go ahead and get the other door done. See, we're going to go in just like that. Should be pretty simple. All right, so we got our braces in, all of our braces for the panels. We still got to screw the panels into these, but for the moment, that'll at least keep wind from pushing inward, which is the biggest issue I'm concerned with. And then I also got the bolt box I'm not extremely satisfied with this. They're sturdy enough, but they're so big and bulky that I couldn't fit it on the lengthwise of this, so I had to add this temporary thing in here. I mean, I think it'll hold fine for now, but I gotta do something a little different here. And then got one in on the bottom too, so it rattles, but I don't think it's gonna go anywhere for now. I'm getting back at it. We just finished cutting all of the braces for the inside of the second door. Getting ready to put pocket holes in those so we can get those mounted up. Got our latch on there. Still rattles more than I'd like, but I think it'll be okay. I may put a couple of stops at the bottom to prevent the bottom from wanting to be able to walk in and out, but I think it'll hold. Pretty happy with it overall. All I really got left to do is to refasten some of these panels and add a few screws to it, and then I'll actually run over it with a caulk gun and caulk up these seams just to make sure that I'm not getting water and air pushing through and into the inside. So all in all, it's been successful. But with that, I'm gonna call it a day. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll give you some more updates on this again soon. Have a good day.